Okay, microphones are going on.
And welcome back. You're listening to Talk Recovery on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. Welcome to all our Facebook viewers. Thanks for tuning in, and those of you listening on the radio. Quick shout out to my sister Courtney, who took 8 years cake last night.
Yay, Courtney!
Yeah, very, very moving, and I just appreciate this whole genre of recovery and people getting well and taking the opportunity. And like Daryl was saying on our first interview there, everything works. It depends on what you're trying to fix, I guess. I mean, heroin worked for me too, but didn't allow me to be happy and take advantage of the options and opportunities I had in my life. Similar to, I'm sure, our personal story, our guest Cody is sitting in with us today. Welcome, Cody.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. It's a big deal to have people come in and share their story. The relatability factor for anybody listening is huge. Hearing people's personal story, and not so much just what they were using, but what it took to get clean and what life is like today. So let's start with that. What was your advice?
Pretty much anything and everything. I was wired to heroin and prescription painkillers, but I used everything.
And how did you get into that?
I don't know. I grew up thinking I was going to be the next Scarface or whatever you want to call it. And
right.
I grew up slanging dope and thinking I was a big tough guy. Really, I was just a scared kid trying to kind of find his place in the world. And I don't know, I started using stimulants at an early age and partied a lot. And it just progressed into opioid use. I kept a legitimate job through my late teens, and I ended up cutting off 2 of my fingers and was prescribed Percocet by my doctor. And
at what age?
Kind of took off. I cut my fingers off, I think, at 19.
19?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty serious injury.
Yeah, well, they did reattach them. My pinky doesn't really work anymore. The ring finger's all right. But, honestly, like...
Were you given any information about the intensity of the narcotic that you were to be given? I mean, did any doctor give you any sort of protocol there?
It's actually funny that you say that, because, like I said, I was selling dope at the time, and, I didn't really know the consequences of the medication, but my buddy was like, this is a perfect opportunity. This is what you're going to ask for, and we're going to sell it. And obviously, being a good addict, I took a couple and liked it, so I didn't end up selling any of it. I used it all. So
that makes complete sense. A lot of people get introduced to these heavy, very addictive narcotics because of an injury, and often sort of ignorantly and naively continue to take them. You give anybody on the street, like anywhere in the world, Percocets for 30 days, they're going to become physically addicted, right? Yeah. So what do you think it is like with someone like yourself that will continue to use, rather somebody else that goes, oh my gosh, I'm sick, I'm addicted to these pills, I have to stop this, and will evidently just stop doing it? What do you think that is?
Well, like I said, I always used. I didn't think of myself as an addict, but I used marijuana heavily from 12 years old and all sorts of other substances. And for me, they talk about it as being a spiritual disease, and I 100% believe that. I still have issues today, but I have a better way to deal with them. I'm a very selfish, self-centered individual. I believe the world owes me something, or did when I was a kid growing up, and I felt like nobody knew how I felt. I always felt alone. I I beat myself up a lot in my own mind. Like if somebody talked to me the way I talk to myself, I'd end up hitting them. And I just felt disconnected, and I felt like something was missing, and I was always trying to find something to fill that missing feeling. Like I thought, like if I owned all Nike stuff, that I'd feel better. If I had some chains, or if I was dating that girl, or if I was in better shape, or if I was better at the sport that I already excelled at. Like it didn't matter like what I was doing. Like I was always trying to like fill that hole. Right?
It's interesting because that's often the theme, that people describe their youth, or, thinking back before addiction of any form, it was these thoughts and these insecurities and these, not feeling a part of. And it's so simple. It's just like you're a kid and you were wrong. Like you were wrong about how you felt, right? Like, there's always some struggles, but what could you think you could have done anything different? Like, did somebody reinforce those thoughts in you?
Like I had lots of friends, and I got picked on a little bit, I guess, but like what kid doesn't growing up, and like I didn't really have a bad home life. I was disciplined, and maybe a bit differently than today's parents would do it. Like I got the hand, but like it was never like out of place. Like nobody came home and spanked me because they just had a bad day. Like
right.
I had always done something. I was told at an early age I was adopted, and that because they thought I had figured out something, and that quickly became like a big scapegoat for a lot of my problems.
Right.
Like you don't know how I feel. Like you don't actually love me. Like I'm not your real kid, or like if there were other children, like you don't know what it's like because I'm adopted, and like. But honestly, like these people like went out of their way,
right,
to like to get me, and like
right.
and they loved me unconditionally. Like I was their own.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Right. So when did you figure out that perspective?
That was it took me a while. Yeah. I kind of gained it in my struggle, trying to get into recovery for about 5 years. But before like this last time, but it's. Like, to me, they're my real parents now. Like, I probably gained that perspective right in early adulthood, probably 2021, even though I was mangled.
Yeah.
Because I realized, like, what I was putting them through, and the cops showing up at their house all the time, and wondering if I'm dead or whatever was going on, right? So.
Right. So, what was it that got you to seek some sort of help along the way?
For the first little while, like people wanted me to get clean, obviously, and my parents told me to get out or leave them alone, and the girl I was seeing at the time told me the same thing, and I ended up at a safe place, and I lasted 20 days there. I ended up using it. I got kicked out for good reason, and like I packed a big resentment against that place for a little while, and I did the Surrey Recovery House circuit, and I knew something needed to be different, and then so I ended up going to another safe place, and like at that point, like I wanted to kind of be clean, but I didn't really do any. I didn't do any step work. I didn't get a sponsor. My meeting attendance was lax, and I lasted about 8 months of wanting to be clean but not doing anything about it, and I relapsed, and I ended up back in my hometown, and I got to a place like I never thought I'd be. I was like, I in my mind I was selling dope, and I was like, I had it going on, but like I was like kind of selling dope just to get by, and I was actually homeless, like living on the streets, and my family had a restraining order on me, and I seen them drive by one day, and they looked happy, and I felt really alone, and I was just sick and tired of the grind and feeling alone and not really having anybody.
Wow,
at that point.
Like what a sort of realization, eh? Like they were supposed to be suffering and struggling, knowing that you're not doing well in life, and to see them happy and sort of letting go, put it into perspective, eh?
Yeah, well, and the funny thing is I talked to my mom later, and she said that they actually see me, and it killed her to drive by, but like that's the best thing that they could have done for me is told me to beat it, right? Like,
yeah.
So, and that kind of set me on the road, right? Then I thought about it, and there was a community, the first one I went to, and that I got kicked out of after using in 20 days, after 20 days, and because I started thinking, like, where did I see people that were happy and living life and sharing about like having fun, and when you went to a meeting, people were hugging and high-fiving, and so I ended up going back to that community, and they took me in and they showed me the deal, and like because of that today, like I have a great life, right?
It's funny because I think a lot of people want, so those of us that get stuck in addiction, they want, like you said, I wanted to be clean, but you still got the Scarface goal, and you're still selling dope, and I don't think people understand that, like, it doesn't really matter what you want if the attitudes and the sort of like the display that you have on outwardly changes. It's and I think like that's a hard thing to do, is to put all that you know about yourself, all your persona, all your attitudes, whether they're immoral or not. Like that's a tough thing to put down. What was the hardest thing for you to sort of transition from that guy to someone that's actually being clean?
Probably sharing honestly just about myself and like how I felt and the things that I had done, because like they were down low junkie sort of things, and like I had this vision of being somebody else that what I was doing like wasn't that. And like I don't know, like I still have struggles, like but like today, like I can talk to somebody about it and they can help me through it. Different things pop up. Like I can use people, places, and things now, right? Like I can spend money on 10 pairs of kicks that I don't need, or I can use relationships with people, or I can like when I'm sad, I'll go to McDonald's and I'll justify it. It's funny because they were talking about fitness and fitness goals earlier, and like I'll get on that kick too. Like it's ever changing, like what I need to work on, and as long as like I'm sharing honestly about what's going on for me sometimes, which is really hard because I don't want to admit that like I need help. That was probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
It sounds like the way you describe yourself, youth in your first perspectives is like the young punk that doesn't care. Like I don't care, and you completely sound like somebody who cares about living a life, someone who cares about other people, how he feels about his parents, and their well-being. Like, I mean, I think that's a pretty natural state sometimes, growing up, like, with the facade of, I don't really care. And it's hard to admit, isn't it? Like, when you talk about telling the truth and sharing honestly, like that you actually care about all the harm you've caused and the people that, don't want to talk to you, and you maybe that you care about yourself. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah, it's trying to portray that, I don't know, gangster look. I just trying to be cool. It was mainly because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, right? And I wasn't sure who I was, and I wasn't sure how I would share that with others, and I didn't want people to know who I was because I was unsure of it. And
yeah,
it was a life based in fear.
So when people describe like what works or what recovery is, or whether it's 12 steps or SMART or like this labeled recovery, like I mean all it really is you sit in a room with that attitude, cross your arms, and if every other person sitting in that room with you is the exact same way, like where's the influence, where's the motivation, where's the value in wanting to change or wanting to talk honestly? But if there's two guys in there that are sharing about how much they care about changing their life and how much they care about, you know, amending some of the things that they've done in the past. Like you've got some purpose there. You know, it might open you up, eh?
Yeah, it definitely gets the ball rolling. Like I said, when I finally decided to get clean in 2014, I thought about the place where I seen that happening, and the people sharing about making a difference in others' lives, and changing their own as a result, and having fun and doing the things that I missed out on or used to enjoy, while adding recovery to their lives, right? Like dirt biking to the top of a mountain and pulling the book out and sharing and taking a new guy with them to experience that, and doing something for somebody else. That's the big thing, is, you know, helping somebody without like the expectation that you're gonna get something in return. Like just doing it to do it, and it's a great feeling.
And it's hard to learn that when you're 12, 13, 14. Like, that's a hard morality to understand, but that's what you hear a lot about, you know, when people, it sounds like, oh, you're growing up, or you've grown up when you've changed that perspective from only thinking about yourself to thinking about other people. I mean, recovery really is about, you know, in essence, just growing up from all of those wrong thoughts and wrong beliefs that you had, right? And you know, you were sharing a little bit about like what your motivation is and what your motives are to, you know, to help your parents and to, you know, find a career that can help, you know, establish the future.
Yeah. It was a weird one for me, actually, to try to figure that out, because I've always worked outside with my hands, and I recently had an injury where I broke 3 bones in my back, and I ended up having to leave the career that I thought was going to take me on for the rest of my life. I stayed clean through it, and I think, like a little side note is like no matter how bad things get, as long as I stay clean, like something can change, right?
And how important that was to you.
To
like,
stay clean.
To stay clean.
Yeah, because
I even asked you, like, when you were telling me the story, I'm like, so you mean like the doctors didn't insist on any narcotic? Because I mean, there's certain injuries that you just have to, right? But if you stay safe, like you can get through it and you can manage and still be clean.
Yeah, they did insist at first, but like I was very insistent that I wasn't. So they ended up putting me on Toradol, which is a beefed up Advil. That was explained to me that it's good for people with addiction issues, and like I made it through. Like it hurt, and it still hurts sometimes, and like, but like I truly believe like if you just stay clean, like you can make it through anything, right? And as a result, like now, the government worked with me to like find a new career, and I'm currently like in training for that career at a school called Railway Operator School, and I'm learning how to operate excavators and rubber tire backhoes, and hopefully that will take me into the next step of my life. But even when I started school there, like the first thing I told everybody was I was in recovery, and it's a habit that I think it was one of the big reasons that I'm still clean today, is because now everybody that I meet, like that's one of the first things I tell them, and it leaves no room for error on my part or them.
And it allows people to support you and love you and you know, be there for you when you know, when you're going through something.
Yeah.
So what's like you help out a lot, you know, at the treatment center, at the Last Door, at the youth program that they have there. Like, why do you continue to do that?
Mainly, it helps me, but like those kids are really inspiring, and like if somebody told me when I was 14 or 15 that I needed to stop drinking or smoking weed, like I'd tell them to kick rocks. And so it's really inspiring for me, because like if somebody that age can do it, like I need to put my big boy pants on and continue to do this day by day, right? So,
well, Cody, I mean, yeah, I can't be anything else but inspired as I sit and listen and reflect on my own, you know, thoughts of, you know, growing up and how recovery's allowed me to grow up and you know, look back and have a different perspective, and I just, you know, it's awesome to see, Ed, because you know, to know the kid that you were, and to see you across from me today, and you know, hopes, dreams, and goals, and sky's the limit, and you know, knowing that you can get through anything is the biggest message we can have. So thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Talk Recovery on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned. Bye, everybody. And this is Mumford & Sons. There will be time. There it is. See, it comes up first. Yeah, I see it.
Say see you later, Cody.
See you later, guys.
See you later, Cody.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Super